Greetings, nerds. This is CNN Nerd. I'm your host, Sarah Belmont, and with me, as always, is our Mr. Producer, Will Polk. How are you doing tonight, Will?
I'm doing very well, Sarah. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. Are you caught up on the Schmoedown singles tournament?
Yes, okay. I am caught up. I am. I'm caught up for both Thursday and Friday's episodes this week. So
okay. So I'm a little disappointed that the kid is not moving forward.
Yeah.
I was a little annoyed by that because I really wanted him to go all the way this year.
Mm-hmm.
But the Schmoedown singles tournament, just overall, between the upsets and the matches are so well executed.
Yeah.
And this rivalry between swag and corruption, I'm eating it all up.
Oh, totally. And then, and not lurking far behind is that the Finstock exchange is kind of hanging there with those two. But you're right, swag and corruption have just dominated the singles tournament so far. And it's there have been some amazing matches these last 2 weeks in particular.
Right.
With like Viviani and Liz last week, and it being very close. And then this week's episode, both were extremely close. I mean, one went to sudden death,
yep.
and the other match, had perfect first rounds, and really, I think with the Irwin and Tom's match, I think Tom sort of lost the stride. Obviously, lost the stride there. Spoiler alert: if you haven't watched it, in the second round, and
yeah, I really like Tom, and
Tom?
I'm really mad that he's not performing as well as he's known to perform. And as much as I like Ethan, here's the thing about Ethan: he continues to dominate, and then he makes it to the championship match and he loses.
Yeah.
So it's similar to Bateman. I'm like, I'm tired of watching these people advance, only to fall apart at the end. And that's why the whole Finstock exchange, I've kind of written them off because of all of the melodrama happening with them. And it's just, to me, they're so last season, Will.
Yeah, they are.
That what sway and corruption are doing is reminding, like, there's other people who can play this game and don't have as much baggage.
Yeah,
don't have much game for themselves.
True. And Winston and Shannon both just done a tremendous job of just managing their teams. And when you're watching their matches and the coaching that they give their team whenever it's in the in all of the realms, I've been very, very impressed, and it's been a real given this new Schmoedown environment with the pandemic and stuff, it's been very entertaining, and very compelling, and it's good to see some of the, like you said, new blood this year dominating these matches.
Yeah, I mean, something's new because we're not going to get anything new in the cinema for very, very long time. If the cinema's still open where you live. For me, it's not.
Well, so North Carolina finally opened up our cinemas. You can go, I think they are 30% capacity. And so they just reopened in the beginning of this month. But, I think you saw where like Cineworld and Regal Cinemas, I think they were temporarily suspending operations.
Yep.
And then I guess AMC is still driving ahead. And, of course, a lot of the little smaller independent operators are trying to, hold on. So, yeah, again, I was listening to the thing yesterday. I think there was one theater that is allowing in the Charlotte area, I think it was, people to, if you wanted to rent out a theater, you can rent it out for like $100 and just have it for yourself any way they can to get business. And, that's where we are. And, of course, this week we saw where, Wonder Woman 84 is still, so far, slated to come out at Christmas Day. And, of course, Batman got pushed back to March 2022. Dune got pushed back to October of 2021.
I don't care. I just care about Batman. I'm so mad.
Yeah. I also bummed about that one too. I was really hoping that somehow they could finish it up and get it out next year. But
I think about timing wise, October, from what we've seen in the trailer, seemed like the perfect time to release that movie, and that was in March.
Yeah.
March.
Yeah.
DC, do you remember the last time you released a comic book movie in March? I believe it was this little thing called Batman v Superman. How did that work out for y'all?
Yeah, but also you had Black Panther come out in March too, and that worked out.
No, you had Black Panther come out in February.
It came out in February.
That's MCU.
Yeah, true. It's the MCU, but I mean, my point is, I think all the old rules as far as like when you release films are now completely out the window.
Yeah, I think that DC does not learn from their mistakes.
Well, I was noticing whenever with DC slate, given that things did get pushed back, and Flash is now November 22, Shazam is June 2023, Black Adam.
November 22 for a film that hasn't even started production. And yet has all of these freaking announcements about it. Who cares about it? We have seen what feels like the whole movie of Batman, and we're not going to get it until March?
Yeah. Oh, but even it gets even better. Black Adam, they didn't even bother to schedule a release date for it yet. So it's just, yeah.
We're never going to see Black Adam. Black Adam is going to happen.
Yeah, it's like a unicorn. It's just, it totally is at this point.
Oh man, speaking about unicorns, I have no idea the connection to this, but it seems like the right thing to say. It was also announced this week that Benedict Cumberbatch is confirmed to play Doctor Strange in upcoming Spider-Man 3 film, and directly related to the sequel to the Doctor Strange movie, alongside Jamie Foxx, will also potentially return as Electro.
Yeah, so I think he is slated to return as Electro. However, he did post a picture on his Instagram and then quickly pulled it. But of course, everybody remembers his Electro character from The Amazing Spider-Man. Was it 2 or
2?
Yeah,
and there wasn't a third one.
There wasn't a third one.
Not a third one.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, I don't remember him from Amazing Spider-Man 2 because I didn't see it, but
really, I saw that movie. I saw Dave Duhan become a goblin character-ish. I saw oh my god, I'm blanking on his name. I can picture him. I cannot think about his name. Be the Rhino.
Oh yeah.
And that disaster of a movie. Yeah, I saw it.
And which is funny because I had planned on watching it because I actually really did enjoy The Amazing Spider-Man with the first one, and I thought it was a very good film. But I digress. With Jamie Foxx, but I think the thing that folks were wondering is he's going to be the blue Electro that he was known for. In that film, and so I guess he posted something on his Instagram like, no, it's not going to be it's not going to be that. But I guess the bigger point is I think this film definitely, given that it's both Sony and Disney working together, just opens the door again to the whole Spider-Man multiverse, and also leads into Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, which will film apparently everything, of course, assuming everything's scheduled, they'll film Spider-Man 3, where he'll serve as, I guess, the new Tony Stark to Peter Parker, as far as his mentor role. Yeah.
Right. I think, and it's a great bookend, because I know that Far From Home is kind of this odd movie where I think it gets overshadowed because of how closely it was released to follow the Endgame movie, and so I don't think it has as much credit. And I also think what is missing in that movie, and although there are numerous references, none of the Avengers really come into play. And that was the beautiful thing about Homecoming, is this is the first time you see Spider-Man interact with well, not the first time, but it felt fresh and different. So now to have Doctor Strange come in and also continue that, what was developed during the Infinity War movie, I'm really excited. And again, just give me WandaVision at this point. WandaVision, because we know that even before Doctor Strange screws stuff up, Wanda's going to start this thing.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe it's already started because damn it, Loki.
Yeah.
Don't forget, Loki does some stuff in Endgame where you're like, I see what you're doing.
You have to see exactly what you're doing. I think you're right. It all goes back to Loki.
Always.
It goes back to
Thor's
Loki.
just going to be so happy when he finds that out.
and Scott and Ant-Man, as far as opening up the multiverse. So, I think even the original Doctor Strange, I think we could see, I think, lay the groundwork for that. So,
that is a movie I haven't seen.
Really?
No. Now, I tried to watch it in a very non-committal way where I just skipped through a bunch of scenes. But no, I will not claim to have seen that movie because I honestly don't. Yeah, I have not sat down and actually tried to watch it from start to finish.
Okay, fair enough. But I guess, maybe you'll get to it before Multiverse of Madness.
Nope.
Maybe, or maybe not.
I'm not a completionist. You're the completionist. I'm not. I'm like, I don't really need to see it.
Yeah, no, they'll fill it. I'll figure it out with all the little things they drop in the story.
Yeah. There are plenty of movies that I know about that I haven't seen, but I feel like I've seen them just because I know about them. But while Sony and the MCU build their Spider-Verse, it looks like DC is going to try to finally give fans what they have been wanting and see a Green Lantern verse come to life with another. I love how DC is going all in on HBO Max, just like they went all in on CW. All of a sudden, all of these shows for HBO Max, as Seth Grahame-Smith and Mark Guggenheim show will feature several Green Lanterns, including Guy Gardner, Jessica Cruz, Alan Scott, and others from the GL.
The Green Lantern Corps. So Sinestro and Kilowog, and who knows? Maybe we'll see Diggle.
Well, Guggenheim.
Yeah.
And Guggenheim does not shy away from that kind of thing.
Exactly. Exactly. I honestly, I will have to say, I will be disappointed if we don't see Diggle, as a Green Lantern in this new series. Because it sounds like it's a 10 episode order. It's going straight to series, and since they are going to be focusing on the Green Lantern Corps, it doesn't look like Hal Jordan, Ryan Reynolds won't be showing up. So, so I think it'll be a fresh take on this, and we in Crisis on Infinite Earths we were teased this at the very end of the crossover event where they did show Green Lantern, Green Lantern. So yeah, I'm actually looking forward to this series, even though I know it is Guggenheim, and I know a lot of fans. He is a lightning rod for fans, especially in the Arrowverse. But and of course,
what do you mean? Is that because I always got the impression that he was everyone appreciates what he did in terms of Arrow and kicking this thing off, but the writing kind of also fell apart.
That's what I meant by lightning rod. Exactly.
Okay. Good.
Yeah, that's exactly what I meant.
Yeah.
Because that's the big critique. Yeah, and of course we can't forget his role in this being behind the 2011 film, Ryan Reynolds. But everybody has a bad day, so we won't. So maybe just to give him a chance to rectify that.
Right. I agree. I think that it's important Diggle shows up, likely because it's Guggenheim. It's not going to happen until the very, very last 10 seconds of the series finale.
Yeah.
But that is the only crossover. With all of these new announcements about the HBO shows and featuring these DC characters, I really think they shouldn't try to create too much crossover between the CW verse and the HBO Max verse, just because, I mean, I think there's going to be a different audience for these HBO Max shows than there are for the CW shows.
Yeah.
And we're always posing the question of marketplace saturation, and so now you have all of this lineup on HBO, and then you have this lineup on the CW, and you have your movie verse. The movie verse is a joke, though, so it doesn't really matter. So maybe we'll take this seriously. Just don't do anything in Nanda Parbat. That's all we really don't go there again. It did not work out well.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Oh, man. Well, that is it for news, which brings us to the big topic of today, which we did have to delay this recording. So we have yet to talk about the penultimate episode of The Boys Season 2, which left a very, very bloody cliffhanger.
Yes.
And everybody knows. Everyone, as soon as you see it, Congress, people exploding, classic parallel to Batman v Superman. DC just loves their courtroom dramas, I guess.
People do, yeah. People do. I did think that as well. Whenever I saw that whole thing go down with the mind blower, popping, Vogelboom, Vogelbaum, and other people in the committee room when that all occurred, and of course it was definitely the big moment of that episode. But the other, for penultimate, it really did its job well, pulling all these various threads from the season to pulling them all together so we can have that to lead into the season finale. And
right.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, I think that the finale pulled the strings together, but what this penultimate episode did was escalate everything and almost get rid of the dead weight. No offense, Lamplighter.
Which I know Crypty was like, yeah.
We can execute the finale and move on with setup for season 3.
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely the case. I mean, I know Kripke was like, and part of it is because of the way Lamplighter was portrayed. Really, they were, and maybe they'll be able to bring Ashmore back for some flashbacks or something in the future. Because he was, even though he kind of saw it, kind of building that he was not going to leave the tower. We didn't know how he was not. I figured he would probably get taken out by another suit, maybe Black Noir or something like that. But he had in his own way a sort of heroic send-off to make amends for all the sins that he had committed before, as far as helping Huey, albeit his hand, help to rescue Annie and Annie's mother from the tower.
Well, he did want to use his hand all day today.
He did. That's true. Even though they did go fuck the wife consensually. So.
Oh my god! Then let's go fuck the wife consensually. That was hilarious. I think this, and we've talked about this before with these type of shows where the bigger the ensemble, the more critical it is that you get the right pairings when you need them. And that, I think, is another reason why this episode works very well, is they did a lot of pairings that made sense, that moved the story that they're trying to get across forward. A-Train in the Deep. Can we get a what was it? Stone and Steel spinoff for them? Because A-Train in the Deep are hilarious.
They are. He is just like, God, you definitely don't want him in your foxhole, because he will turn you over to the enemy faster than anyone.
Right. Well, it's all about the Fresca. All about Fresca. and I think that Lamplighter, it is just speaks to the writing of the show, how it takes us one episode to almost like and want to see the more of this character, and then they take it away from us.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed, though, we will get flashbacks and he'll be involved. I can't imagine them not doing that, just considering the casting choice. But speaking about other soups in this whole escape, let's save Annie mission, one of the best scenes was fucking Black Noir.
Yes.
Damn that almond joy, and I love that tie into a previous episode of the season where they mention the candy bar. You don't really get why, so you kind of wipe it off, and then they bring it back around, and Maeve just shoves it down his throat and kicks away the EpiPen.
That's the best. That was one of my favorite moments in the episode too. And it's funny. I had in my notes the same thing. It's just like, this show, it's a testament to their writing of this show, as you said, because you really have, and that's the other strength I think about this season. In some ways, being released weekly, because you have time to really like soak it all in, and all those little story points that they bring back, like the almond joy and the whole. I think about when he was in the room with the analyst, looking at trying to find Butcher, and all those little throwaway moments, and and there's others that like even in this episode where with the statue of Soldier Boy, and of course Soldier Boy being referenced in the very first episode with Edgar, and I mean, all those things. It's just every line in the show has a meaning and will come forward in full circle, which we'll get to in the finale. And so it really is a testament to the writing, like you said, as far as how well the series is constructed and executed.
Right. And I think for Maeve in particular, I know we talked earlier this year about how she's being utilized and is very much under not Stockholm syndrome, but is held captive by the Seven and mainly Homelander. And so to see her pop up both in this episode and in the finale in this way of like, yeah, I've been sitting on the bench, but I've also been very observing everyone, and so I know how to take them down when I want to. They're just leaving because I let them.
Yeah. She's a solid assassin, more so than Black Noir in some ways, because she does sit back, and every time, and she's so conflicted because Annie was trying to get her to leave and join the boys, but at the same time, I think Maeve also in a lot of ways, like Homelander, also does in some regard enjoy the limelight, the spotlight, and the benefits of being a suit has. And so
like the family.
Yeah.
The Seven is a family, a very, very dysfunctional one. Yeah. But even in the finale, there is a line that Homelander says about where all of the Seven are now. And he just looks at Stormfront, and she is like, so what? We have you and me. That's all we need. And you can see it in his eyes where it's like, but that's not the point of this. The point is there to be a Seven, there to be like a team and a family. And And correct me if I'm wrong, but there is some mention about Maeve and her parents where she wasn't brought up in a Vought lab, but she doesn't come from the most stable family.
That's if I remember that as well. I do remember that.
Yeah, so I think that's why both of them have this kind of need to retain that family unit because it's all they've been able to rely on it for so long, and without it, it's isolating.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we saw that with Maeve in this episode, especially after Elena left her, and Maeve just descended into a very self-destructive path, where Ashley walks in and she was just like, "You're America's second favorite lesbian couple. We need you." And Maeve is just like, "F it. Even though they're dysfunctional, her whole family is falling apart."
Yeah, the more I think about it, the more in this episode with Lamplighter's, even his sacrifice or his suicide mission, I just wanted my father to make my father proud.
Yeah.
And this pressure to be on this team, and he wanted to be back on it, but then stuff went down. And then throughout the season, you have both A-Train and the Deep also being pushed aside and with a core mission just to come back to it, because even though it is crap, I mean, especially for A-Train because of all the racism that is occurring, and it's almost like this season he woke up to it. He's known it's there, but he really, really understood it with Stormfront this season about how much it is in the core of Vought.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is surprising considering Stan Edgar, but...
Yeah, we'll get to that. We'll get there. But, and, but you're right about the racism and the whole rally that Stormfront Homelander has. And, again, I love the way they had, especially when you think, when an episode starts, and especially in context of things that happen in real world this week, where we learn about the events of Michigan, where people were trying to plot to kidnap the governor and stuff. And then you see how this episode starts, and where you have this lone wolf, this guy gets socialized, and here, and they carried it off. It could easily have come off in a very preachy way, but and very I won't say disingenuous, but just heavy-handed way. But it was just a very stark opening. But it was handled so well with all the things we've seen this season, as far as how Homelander and Stormfront have been trying to build this, make America great again, make Vought great again, and all the us against them, and we need the Compound B to fight against this evil super terrorist, and blah blah blah. And you have kind of the Rush Limbaugh guy in the background egging his character on, and then whenever he kills the store convenience store clerk, just because he thought earlier he was mistaken, he saw a flash in his eye that he was a suit.
Mm-hmm.
It really drives home the point of the show, as far as how it has really held up a mirror to a lot of things in present day society, that needs to be called out, and they did it in a way that again services the story and really underlies how insidious and how dangerous a character like Stormfront really is, because she just plays to the media so well. She's pretty, she's charismatic, she very, very social media savvy, and it shows how people could be duped by that.
I don't think it was so much her charisma But she understands the power of hate.
Yeah.
And the power that Adolf Hitler also understood.
Right.
Is that when you are able to identify a common enemy for people who feel as though they are defeated, then all of a sudden you create these soldiers and this force. And that's politics, just in a nutshell.
Yeah.
And she was able to, which again, one thing about this season, Will, if I may.
Yeah.
Why the heck haven't they explained why she wasn't in the first season? Anyway, never explained that. Pisses me off. But she was able to capitalize on a series of events, and the bot also was able to be like, she's bringing in the need to get Compound V out to the masses, and that'll increase our profit share. Yeah. So why the heck not? It was so well done, that opening sequence, and thanks for bringing it up, because I was going to completely forget about it, because it felt very similar to other shows and movies that are talking about that, where people who are basically get these subliminal messaging into their systems, and then suddenly their behavior changes overnight, and just how that all works, and why maybe you should just shut off the news every once in a while.
Yeah, shut off the news, or make sure your news diet is not all one particular viewpoint.
Yep.
Either side, left or right. Not making a value judgment on either one, but I think it does show the dangers of when you just get your news from this one source and you hear it over and over again. And and like I said, I mean, even though this is art, we see it happen in real life too. So.
Yep. And so this episode, the penultimate, ends with the Congress, and we think that Vought's finally going to get exposed, and then heads just start popping.
Yeah.
Stormfront and Homelander not afraid, just very confused.
Yep.
People are horrified. Victoria Newman being one of them, and that concludes this episode, which leads to another. And I don't think they were doing this as much during the first season, but they need to always have these vignettes, because whether it be the one we were just talking about from episode 7, or this one where they open up the finale with a little PSA, if you will, about law.
Yep.
Lock the doors, arm yourselves, and wait for here. I love that. With all these acronyms, you always have that one that's like a letter, but 4 words.
Yep.
I was laughing so hard at this, because as soon as they went, it's like, okay, this is normal. You lock everything, you hide. Wait a second, the teacher is arming herself. That is not.
Oh, how many things did they pack into that PSA as far as where we are?
It's also just feels very nostalgic. There's something about the way they're crafting these vignettes where it sounds so familiar and reminiscent of things that we've seen. Very similar to what the MCU did, I think, in Homecoming, where they were watching Captain America talk about the importance of fitness.
Yep. Yep. Yep, totally. Yep.
Oh, I love that. And really, this is just bleeds into where America is, and America is with the stands for Homelander and Stormfront, and their need to get everyone Compound V despite the side effects, because they want to arm themselves against terrorists.
Yeah.
Supervillains is easier to say.
Yeah, supervillain season. Yeah.
So we could go plot point by plot point. I just listed ton of them out. But Will, what are your overall thoughts about the finale?
Loved it. I mean, when I got done with that episode, I almost watched it again because it really, to your point earlier, I said the penultimate's pulling the strings together. This one really tied everything together in a nice bow. And, usually with the finale, I'm usually like, I felt like it was incomplete or left me wanting something. I was completely satisfied with this, and the only thing I was wanting at the end of it was like, damn it, look, let's get season 3, like now.
Yeah. Yep.
Because I didn't feel like they left any plot point undealt with from the season that didn't need to be, there are clearly some things that need to be left unresolved because you got to continue the story on. But the main things they dealt with this season were dealt with, and and then we can hit some of the highlights from that after. I would like to get your thoughts as well on the finale.
Girls get it done.
They do. That was my girls. Reggie, girls get it done.
That's perfect. Another fabulous callback to a previous episode.
Yep.
I love that. I think that this episode is just a basic, here's how you execute a finale for not a series, for not a first season, but for a mid-season for any series. Because everything you just said, that's what it does, and what a finale of a season 2 show should do, where you get clear conclusions on important things. You cut the dead weight, because things that the boys they're constantly reinventing themselves. Right. And so there could only be so many seasons we could watch the boys go on all these adventures from living under a pawn shop. So they made it very clear that that's not this series. That's only this chapter. And I appreciated that. And I felt like this season overall was a slow burn, but damn, did it get paid off. It really did. And as many, in my opinion, there are about 4 different endings to this episode.
Yeah.
And which can get annoying, but I think they did it in a way where it was like, oh yeah, I'm glad they're going back to that. Oh, they ended that storyline. We're not going to, okay, good deal. Moving on.
Yep. Totally. They totally did that. And one of those was, was the whole story with Ryan.
Yeah.
And
Becca.
Yeah. Which, we didn't talk about that from the penultimate side, but I'll interweave it into into thoughts on the finale. So, as we left things with the penultimate, Homelander brought Stormfront to the vault compound and introduces her to Ryan and Becca. And at the end, we're like, what a big happy family. And Becca, of course, at the end of that episode, you see her leave because she's so afraid of, and it needs Billy to help her with this. And so we get fast forward to this, and one of the things that stuck out with both of these episodes was we get more backstory and context for Homelander and John and his upbringing, and and especially we contrast that with Billy's upbringing, which we saw some of that in the penultimate too, with when his mom like, and his whole relationship with his brother.
Right.
So, yeah. And really Homelander having this protective thing with Ryan where he realizes that he was just a laboratory experiment, and Homelander, in his own weird Homelander way, really wanted to have Ryan have a quote unquote normal upbringing. And
I think he also just wanted the unconditional love of the child.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that's at its core. I mean, and it really gets, you know, and Maeve uses that love, that need for unconditional love against them, as we saw in this episode.
Exactly, because overall, he would rather 10 million people adore him than his son to love him and know him.
Yep.
So it's quantity over quality. At that.
It is.
And which is perfect to go in what you're talking about with what these both episodes do, where you have a clear triangle formed where Billy just wants Becca. Becca wants Billy, but more importantly, she's been a mom for now 7 years. That's her son. She gave birth, like, biologically. It's just, that is her family now. And she will do whatever it takes to be with him. And Homelander, now that he realizes he has a son, also wants that, but he doesn't want it at the cost of the life he's known for forever now.
Yeah.
And something that I thought was really impressive, again, Anthony Starr just steals this show every single time. Where the heck is his Emmy? Because there's a moment in the finale where we always hear that Ryan is the contingency plan Vought has if Homelander ever goes nuclear. Mm-hmm. But what I also find is, as a viewer, Ryan brings out the father in Homelander almost in terms of making him feel more human.
Yeah.
And that when Ryan freaks out in Planet Vought, and he's just like, I want to leave, I want my mom, and Homelander takes him. There's like these so many facial expressions where I'm just like, he's just trying to be a dad. He just wants to protect his son. He realized it escalated. He got his son out of there. He protected his son.
Yeah. That's
now, the moment when Stormfront brings up white genocide,
oh gosh,
where the heck was your protection? That moment killed me. I was like, how many times, Will, did it take Aya Cash to say that line with a straight face?
Yeah. It's funny if folks do get a chance to watch the New York Comic Con interviews with the cast. I think it was fan questions, and one of them was about how does she handle the playing a Nazi. So it's just amazing how many how many takes. I wonder how many it did to get her to deliver that with such conviction.
Like, and even Homelander gives her a look of like, I don't know.
Oh, it's like, where? Yeah.
Where does that come from?
Yeah, even Homelander was like, damn, that psycho Nazi job with.
Oh my god. And I really like that. I really like how it also plays into Becca and Billy, which has been a big prominent point of this show, considering where we first meet Billy back in season 1 and now. And early on, you see them reconnect, but at the end of the day, her son is a soup, and he hates all soups. And I was not expecting that. I was not expecting, well, of course, no one was expecting the meeting with Edgar, but we'll get there. Yeah. I was not expecting the deal he made with Edgar, and then to come full circle on that with Becca's death and him honestly actually protecting Ryan at the end, and saving him from his father.
Yeah. That that there's a lot to unpack there with that. I mean, the whole sequence with, from the deal itself that Billy makes with Edgar and that whole conversation. I mean, we could have I hope we could. It was. They have their meeting, and he makes that ploy to save Brian and keep Becca, and Edgar was like, they really get to really the crux of really the core of what this season's been about, and one of the themes about the season, which is, and something you said earlier about A-Train, and also Edgar. Here he is, a black African American executive who he knowingly employs a racist, and is bothered by it, but at the end of the day, it's all about the profits over the principle.
Which parallels his own conversation with Homelander in I want to say the first episode.
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because Frederick, because obviously he knew about Frederick Vaught, and he knows all about Frederick Vaught's history working for the Nazis as well. And, and was able to, come over here like many former Nazi scientists who were made a deal with the United States to come work for the good side. And so he at the end of the day, and he's like, well, I love that line. That's the white man's luxury. When he said, whenever he can't be all half-cocked crazy and doing things.
Yes, that line made me so happy. I was like, oh, he's winding up, and yep, that's a knockout punch. Billy, you're done. You are done. There's a moment where Giancarlo Esposito just plays it so perfectly in this conversation, where he is all businessman, completely, welcome to our company, blah, blah, blah. And then it's like, yeah, you don't like her either. And then he says it, I don't like her. And so his tone changes, his whole demeanor changes, and then quickly snaps back, no, this is about Vaught. This isn't about me and my personal. And I thought that was so fascinating to watch, and just masterclass acting there. But that scene, you can spend 4 hours talking about it. And more importantly, take the scene between Edgar and Homelander and watch that, and then compare and contrast with Billy and Edgar. It's just, thank God Edgar didn't die.
Yeah, I know. I was just thinking that too. I was just like because honestly, well, I'll get to I'll just go ahead and say, I thought Edgar actually was the mind blower, because I was thinking back to our conversation from the very beginning, like, what does Homelander have as his ace in the hole? So honestly, I thought that he was actually the mind blower.
I never thought that. I've seen all these theories about Black Noir, which ultimately were killed due to a peanut allergy or a peanut allergy.
Yeah, and to your point too about, because actually in the comics, Black Noir is actually the fail-safe to Homelander. But in the series here, to your point, they use Ryan to play that role.
Yeah, they are. From what I understand, they are definitely not following the books. Yeah. And I think that the boys, yes, it's a well-known series, but I also don't think it's the platform of a Batman or a Spider-Man where it's like, you better do that right. And by right, I mean word for word what happened.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think they're playing with it, and Kripke has definitely made this his own story. It's like, I'm going to use these toys, but I'm not going to follow that storyline. Yep. No, I honestly, there was so much else going on, and again, testament to the writing of the show. I was not really every scene trying to figure out who the mind blower was. I was just like engaged and fully like blah 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 la la la. That's cool. That's cool. Ooh, look at that. Girls get it done.
Yeah.
Favorite line. And that I wasn't going down that conspiracy. I was just letting the revelations happen naturally. But since you brought it up, Will, let's just talk about it.
Yeah.
Now, again, and then we've talked about it with our beloved, may it rest in peace, Krypton show. Mm-hmm. You can only do this once.
Yep.
They did a magic trick, and it turned out at the very end, it's a revelation that the mind blower has actually been Victoria Newman, the same congresswoman who has been the AOC character, who is clearly out to get Vought and also take down the Supes. Well, she's also one of them. So I loved it. When you hear, so again, it goes back to what I was saying about multiple endings. Like all of a sudden we see Alistair and it's like, oh, okay, so this is going to be an Easter egg for the next season. And then, oh, he's talking to the congresswoman. Oh God, his head just, and okay, no one saw that.
And the reason, and when that scene happened, because they were talking about Edgar, and I was like, oh, here it comes.
Yeah.
And I was expecting Edgar, because he's like, I'm gonna call Edgar, and I figured Edgar over the phone would be the one that would like do it. And then you see her, they flip to the camera, and you see her outside his office, and I was just like, holy shit, it's Victoria. I mean, that was beautifully executed, so well done, and it just, and Kripke was like, well, I told you folks, Kripke, I was reading some articles afterwards, he had noted that, he kind of tipped the hand at the very first episode with whenever they destroyed Raynor.
Yep.
Yeah, and because they flipped over to her in the next scene, and I was like, damn it, this dude's just a damn good storyteller.
How is that a clue? Nobody was looking.
Nobody was looking for it. That's what I said. It was so, now, of course, in hindsight, I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense. But, it's just like, dude, that's just
mean.
It's mean, but you're right. It's just like Krypton with how they executed that. You can only do it once.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because we're watching all editing tricks movies.
Exactly.
We need to reveal your things. Let's talk about the boys themselves. Yeah. Because through all of this, we also have Kimiko, Frenchie, and Mother's Milk alongside Huey and Annie come together in a really beautiful way to help Billy rescue Becca and Ryan, which also leads to the line I keep saying time and time again, where a clear showdown between Annie and Stormfront, which also is a Annie, Stormfront, and Kimiko showdown. What did you think about that fight sequence?
Oh, loved it. I had seen earlier some teases for it. I think there was an interview with Erin Moriarty and that plays Kimiko, and then when it happened and that whole, just the choreography with it, and then of course when Kimiko was like, I thought she was killed during the fight whenever Stormfront snapped her neck.
Yeah, me too.
I was like, shit. They're going for broke this episode, and then of course she wasn't, but it hit all the right beats. It was for this show. It was the appropriate, it was the most ultimate fight, and like you said, and as Frenchie said it best, girls get it done. Because then when they brought Maeve in, and to our point earlier about her, finding her place and protecting the family.
Yeah. She's the mom. She is the mom. She hasn't liked Stormfront either. Now we did. and when you think it's like, oh God, Stormfront's just too powerful. I mean, that's why Homelander loves her so much. Yeah. And then Maeve shows up and knocks her out, and then it's just a full out, like, we're gonna hit you, of course, because you are apparently never can die. This isn't gonna do anything, but it's definitely annoying. And then of course she leaves, and Ryan kills her, which the setup for that kind of was stupid because you really knew it was coming.
Yeah.
But I guess with everything else, all of the other surprises, they had to do that, and it was kind of interesting. It's like, okay, so at what point does Ryan start to hate Stormfront? Because he's not gonna turn on his dad. Nope. He will turn on her though, because she's cray cray. Yep. Whenever I think about that fight sequence though, I always think about how this is the right way for female empowerment and to see them just kicking ass. Mm-hmm. MCU take notes, because I would argue that sequence in Marvel, no.
You're right. You are as a, I don't want to sit back and be mansplaining or whatever, so I'm glad you said that, because you are, but I 100% agree with you. I mean, it was just very organic, and it was just, I mean, that's, like you said, the choreography, everything was just, it just felt right, as far, as much as a fight sequence, somebody get beat down can feel, but it did float.
Yeah. Yeah. I was just waiting for a little Black Widow to come in and start jumping on people too, and doing. There has been some good MCU female fights, but it's just some shade there.
Yeah. Well, at least you're equal opportunity shade thrower. So.
Speaking about equal opportunity, A-Train is back on the team, but not deep.
Yeah, you're right. They need their own spinoff show. Maybe when they do this boys spinoff, they can have A-Train and the Deep and Super University together, because they just, anytime they're together on screen, it's just comedic gold with them.
I love that. I love how Alistair brings them in, and it's like, oh, we found out that someone took information from our archives, and A-Train's like, yeah, oblivious, and Deep's like, oh, who did that? And it's like, A-Train. And it's like, oh, I never liked him.
Yeah, exactly.
He does so many back and forth.
Yeah, I never liked him. He's like I said earlier today, he's like, don't bring the Deep with you into a foxhole, because you're going to end up captured or worse.
Captured or worse. So then just to wrap it all up, we've already touched on this, but just to make it really clear, Maeve blackmails Homelander, in giving Ryan over to the good guys, so to speak. He ends up leaving with Billy, and Billy ultimately passes him off to, and I always forget this character's name.
Mallory.
But who?
Mallory.
Mallory?
Yeah.
And then we, of course, naturally, Homelander jerks off to all of New York City.
Yep.
Mother's Milk has the homecoming he's been needing. And Huey ends up working for Victoria Newman.
Yeah. Yep.
See where that goes.
Let's see where that goes. Because Huey, poor Huey wants to stand on his own 2 feet. And of course, in Huey's own way, whenever he started giving that speech, and of course, Andy's finally like, we can finally have a relationship, and Huey, of course, messes it up again. But thankfully, he recovered very well. So at least for now, things are happy in Huey and Andy land. And I guess Miko and Frenchie, they wanted to think, we saw beginning of their partnership in the penultimate, and more so in the finale. Of course, he's now learning how to communicate with her, which I thought I love. I really like the way they have evolved that as well. And to your point, as far as cutting off some of the extra stuff, as far as obviously eliminating some characters, but then really using the second season to build for the established characters and taking their stories to the next place.
Right. Which the next place, I mean, now that Huey is working for Victoria Newman, we will learn in season 3 more about her agenda with the Soups and with Vought. We'll learn more about Kimiko as her and Frenchie continue to fall in love with one another. And most importantly, the thing I'm most excited about, we got Jensen Ackles, Soldier Boy, leader of Team Payback, more history on Vought, and probably some very insane Homelander who gave up his son.
Yep.
Continue this life. So
I'm looking forward to Jensen, the Soldier Boy, because obviously it's a takeoff of Captain America, and we've learned a little bit more. I think as far as the whole Team Payback was the 7 for the 7, and so obviously knowing the series, we'll get more information about the history of Vought. I mean, we already touched on it some, but now that you're bringing the very first suit, I guess the good suit, back with Soldier Boy, how that does that all play off in his relationship with Homelander and stuff. So yeah, I mean it's and of course the team that Soldier Boy led, I think, had Eagle the Archer. Of course, he also got framed this season with whenever the Church of the Collective tried to ruin his reputation. So,
yep.
And so he's still around. So I'm not sure and Kripke even noted this himself. I think Stormfront is still around. You said she's a stump, but. So,
well, they even say that in the show during the final press conference scene.
Yeah.
They talk about how she is in a well-guarded facility or something. So she's locked up. She's buried probably 9 feet under. Will likely return.
Yeah. When she returns, I will. I hope. I don't know if they'll do it in season 3 or if they have. I'm sure at the rate they're going, they'll have. I think didn't they say they have a 5 season plan? I think.
If it's Kripke, it's a 5 season plan.
Yeah, I think I remember him saying that this past summer at the Comic-Con. So we get that. So we'll probably see her again. Hope maybe in season 4. Yeah,
she's probably season 4, season 5. Type character to bring out and I say that if it's Kripke, it's because he's supernatural. He did his 5 season arc, created the show, and then left the show. The show went on for 10 more seasons.
Yeah.
But he didn't. He told the story he wanted to tell in those first 5 seasons. So I think there's something about that number.
Mm-hmm.
That is very appealing for a lot of showrunners at his level. So
exactly. So I as I said earlier, I ended this season very satisfied and looking forward to where things go in the future.
Yes, and on that note, that is it for us today. Will, why don't you tell our listeners where they can find you?
Yes, you can find me at Will M. Polk, at WILLMPOLK on Twitter.
You can follow me on Twitter at SJ Belmont, SJBELMONT. Please follow our crew on Twitter at CNN Nerd. Friend us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, but most importantly, rate, subscribe, and comment on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Stitcher, or wherever you get your podcasts. Good night, Geek Out. You're welcome.